Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, this is Megneous and welcome to our very first real live video recording. I apologize, we should have done this like months ago. In fact, I should have done it 4 months ago because I promised I would do a real live video recording for a questions and answers thing when we got 100 subscribers. Not to mention the fact that we did it again for 5,000 subscribers and we're now at 20,000 subscribers. I apologize, it took me forever to figure out how to use this camera, and I'm doing it now, and, you know, it's not so great. I'm just going to talk about this for just a little bit. I'm wearing my suit, just like I said I did. I told you guys that I would wear a suit, and I take this thing quite seriously. And who wouldn't want to wear a suit if I'm going to put my face on the internet anyway? Speaking of putting my face on the internet, some of you may be like, holy crap, I know this person! Because I know that, some of my students here in Korea actually, when they saw that I did YouTube and had a Minecraft Dinosaur series, they were like, holy crap, I've seen your Minecraft Dinosaur series, you're famous. And I was like, oh, well, okay, that's cool, I guess. But yeah, so anyway, we're just going to continue with this. Since I did the 100 subscriber question and answers thing, I never answered those questions. I'm going to answer their questions first because they were some of my first subscribers and I love them so very much. So let's start with that, and then we'll go on to the 5,000 subscriber list of questions, and I'm going to try to answer all of them. If I miss your question, I'm very sorry. Please ask me in the comments below, and we may do this again at some point in the future. Oh, and I was going to mention, guys, my ears are huge, but I remembered that I'm wearing this headset so you guys can't tell. It's amazing, isn't it? Also, how do you like my suit? Yeah. Alright, so anyway, let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to read these. Let's see, I'm going to move this over here. Number 1, Mario Cat Gaming asked me, plans for the future? Yes, so this was 4 months ago, so the future is now. I don't really have any particular plans for the future in terms of my channel. I thought, you know, I'll just do this as a hobby, and then it became more popular than I thought it ever would, and now I'm suddenly living off of my YouTube revenue. So I figured that I may as well show you guys my face anyway, since you guys are supporting me in terms of standard of living and stuff like that. Plans for the future. A lot of people go from YouTube into real-life television, but I don't really want to do that because I don't really watch television, and I don't really like people who watch too much television, and I don't really like working with people. I'm sort of antisocial, so I sort of enjoy the whole independence of being an independent YouTuber thing and not having to worry about working with directors and producers and actors and actresses, I guess, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so I don't have any particular plans for the future. Mario Cat Gaming, also known as Lewis. If you haven't checked out his channel, you should totally do so. It's in our list of friendly channels on the right of our channel page. Cataconator asked, cookies or cupcakes? My friend, cookies. Cookies are amazing. I love cupcakes, but cookies are much better in my personal opinion. I apologize if I offend any of you cupcake lovers. Very, very sorry. But cookies are better. Deal with it. Tim3LPs asks, how did you get into YouTube? This is a really common question for YouTubers, I think. And for me, it's not really that complicated. I buy lots of games on Steam summer sales and winter sales. In fact, all the sales. I buy all the games. And then I never played them. Ever. I just sort of was like, yeah, I mean, I'll play it eventually. And then I just ended up playing maybe like one game over and over and over again for like Terraria. Terraria, for example, I have 70-something hours on Terraria at the moment. And for some of the other games that I bought, like Skyrim, which were much, much, much more expensive, I only have maybe 10, 12 hours, something like that. It's not that great. So I thought I need something to motivate me to play these games that I spend who knows how much money on anyway. So I decided to start a YouTube channel. If you check my earlier videos, you'll discover that they're absolutely terrible. You shouldn't watch them, really don't. I deleted a lot of them because they're really, really bad. I also didn't get permission from all of the publishers to monetize them and stuff like that, so I got rid of them anyway. But they're not very good. It started off as really I had no idea what I was doing. Things are better now. Better now, mind you, but they're still questionable at times, perhaps? Oh well. Anyway, moving on to the next question. Oh, Terraria is cool. That's not a question. Okay, Sir Pyromaniaco, whom I gave a free copy of, I believe, Portal 1 and Portal 2. He was one of my giveaway winners. What made you want to start doing YouTube videos? YouTube videos are awesome, I think. Whenever I have a game that I don't know if I want to buy it or not, I always go to YouTube and look for a Let's Player who's doing it, so I actually know what the game is about. Advertising game advertisers and companies, they don't really do a very good job of showing us what games are like, so I appreciate the Let's Play community for that, and I thought that would be sort of a cool hobby to do, and it would motivate me to actually play the games. My rule for games, by the way, is if I get at least 1 hour of gameplay time per dollar I spend on the game, then it's a good investment for me personally. I paid $2.50 for Terraria, and that has been... I have like 3 days of gameplay time on Terraria compared to not getting $1 per hour for Skyrim, so I guess Terraria wins in that regard. A lot of games win in that regard, actually. We'll talk more about them with some other questions, because I know other people ask me about my favorite games. Let's see, this is one of my favorite questions here. Yuri Gela Gaming, maybe? My question is, if you could design a game based on any current event or situation, what would it be and what genre would you make it? Action, adventure, sim, etc. This seems to have been a popular question because it has 11 likes, 11 thumbs up. I can answer this question. I thought about this question a lot actually before starting this interview. If I had to base it on a current situation or political event, I would probably go with my love of space. I would want to make something that goes along with the idea that we are racing against China to land on Mars. I think that would be absolutely amazing. I would go for that. I would make the thing so you have a space program, sort of like Kerbal Space Program, where you recruit astronauts with various skills, where you design rockets, and you launch rockets, and you launch rovers and stuff, and satellites to get information about Mars, and you design habitats, and spacesuits, and all of that, and you race China to be the first person to land people on Mars. And not only would you have to land people on Mars, but personally, I would try to make the game so that you have to sustain a colony on Mars, or at least some sort of semi-permanent research base, because I think that's the future of space. I think that if we just go and land on Mars and come back and never go back again like the moon, who the freak cares if we go one time anyway? I mean, going to the moon was cool and all, but I want to stay on the moon. I want to stay, you know, in lunar orbit. I want to go to Mars. I would prefer if we also send people to Europa and Enceladus and Enceladus. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. Enceladus. Anyway, so yeah, I would totally make a space game where I design a program to beat China to land and colonize Mars. I also have another idea for a game that I got from playing Don't Starve. I think that Don't Starve is an amazing game. I love Don't Starve, sort of crafting survival games, but because I also love dinosaurs, I want a crafting survival game with dinosaurs. Basically, you're shipwrecked, and then you wake up on the beach of an island somewhere, and it's covered in dinosaurs, and you have to like collect raw materials from your environment to make traps and weapons and shelters to survive on this very large island. And there are like various biomes and stuff in this island, maybe some sort of like desert and then a rainforest. I know that like islands generally aren't that big, but it could be a really big island, sort of like a small continent maybe, a mini continent where it's covered in dinosaurs. I don't know how that would exist. Suspend your disbelief for this game, but I would freaking love a crafting survival game based on dinosaurs. Killing dinosaurs, sort of like a Monster Hunter. If you guys have played Monster Hunter, something like that, but with more of a survival kick in it, not just go out and kill monsters hack and slash style. Dinosaurs, yeah. Dude, I would love to make a coat out of dinosaur skin or make like a tent. Ah, that would be so cool. I wonder what dinosaur meat tastes like. Probably exactly like chicken, since chickens evolved from dinosaurs anyway. But anyway. Someone's name that I can't really pronounce, Digdisa asked me, are you going to add Mo creatures to your Dino Minecraft LP? The answer is probably no, not at the moment. I don't have any plans to play Mo creatures, but I do have some plans to possibly play some other mods that we're looking into at the moment. Pixelmon being one of them, Galacticraft being the other. I'm not really sure when we're going to get on that exactly, because time and schedules and real life and stuff, but we're working on it. We're thinking about it, and by we I mean me and possibly other YouTubers that I'm talking about collaborations with. You know who you are. You know. Okay, so moving on. What was the first game you remember playing by Rambling Dragon? The first game that I remember playing, honestly, the very first game would probably be that Pong game that I played with my father in a motel, maybe when I was about 5 years old. I was in a motel, and father hooked up this, like, box to the TV, and the box had two smaller boxes attached to it with, like, little dials, turning dials. Some of my subscribers, you may be a little bit too young to remember this, and some of you may be older and totally do, which is totally awesome. But You controlled the paddle in Pong by turning the dial back and forth. Very different from current gaming, but very awesome nonetheless, and I remember playing that a lot with my father. And I also remember playing the original Asteroids game on an Atari. Those are probably some of the first games that I ever played, and they were totally awesome. I still occasionally play Asteroids on like web browsers because Asteroids is totally cool. Hopefully one day in real life we'll play Asteroids in real life somewhere out there among the stars. Okay, let's see. Roscoe was here. I haven't seen Roscoe actually in a while. Roscoe, where are you? Leave a comment below. I miss you, Roscoe. Roscoe was here, asks, how do you plan on expanding your channel game-wise? Do you plan to look into any collaborations? And of course, as some of you know, I've already done some collaborations. I did a short Terraria collaboration with Wes and Gravesy. I did a short Monaco collaboration with Super Roboplay, Alex and Jason. Unfortunately, that didn't do so well in views, so we decided to stop that. If you guys like want more collaborations, you guys should like totally view the videos. Let me know that you enjoy collaborations, because otherwise we tend to cancel them and try to do some other things to get us more views, because views are sort of important here on YouTube. But yeah, I've done collaborations, and I do plan on doing more collaborations. In fact, now that I'm pretty large, 20,000 subscribers, yay! Thank you guys, by the way. 20,000 subscribers, totally awesome. I think that it's about time that I start meeting some more YouTubers, because my circle of YouTubers is actually quite small at the moment. That's unfortunate. I am the Avarice asks, couple of quick questions. What's the game that got you into gaming? The first game you truly loved? That's very nostalgic. There were a few games. The very first game that I remember loving was Phantasy Star Online. It was originally for the Sega Dreamcast, but I started playing it on the Xbox, the original Xbox, not the Xbox 360. And I played it on Xbox Live, and I had a headset, and I had a group of friends, 3 friends, that I met online, and I met every single day, and we played every single day together. I played Phantasy Star Online so much in a 9-month period that I had 6 months of gameplay time on that game. I was the 8th legit level 200 character on the Xbox Live servers for Phantasy Star Online. Speaking of Final Fantasy, that was the second game that I truly fell in love with. Final Fantasy XI. It was an online game, MMO. Currently, Final Fantasy XIV is re-releasing, trying to get some more people to play it again, because, you know, they broke our dreams and killed us the first time they released it because it was so terrible. But yeah, I loved Final Fantasy XI as well. Actually, true story, I met my first girlfriend on Final Fantasy XI, and I dated her for 2 years, and I flew across the United States from Georgia to California 3 times, and lived with her in California when we were dating. That's a fun story. You should ask me about that sometime, guys. A really, really amazing story. But yes, Final Fantasy XI was sort of my home. I lived in Santeria, and that game was my childhood, probably. So, alright. Let's see. The first games that I really loved. If different, what's your favorite game of all time? And what game is your guilty pleasure? What is my favorite game of all time? My favorite game of all time was probably... Oh, I'm trying to decide. Probably Final Fantasy XI. Final Fantasy XI definitely, like, warms my soul when I think about it. It's really, really personal to me. Especially because, you know, I fell in love with someone. Through that game, so I guess that's sort of a bias. But my guilty pleasure game is probably EVE Online. I don't play EVE Online right now because I don't have enough time to commit to such a serious game, but it also was very, very good. It was amazing, so in-depth, so the market was so good. I had a station trading character that I just left in Jita, and I made billions of ISK, but I ended up I stopped playing because I realized that all I was doing every day was amassing more and more money. Camera, I would appreciate it if you would stop changing the tint all the time on my... Yeah, I'm watching you, camera. But I stopped playing because I realized that I was essentially a space Republican. I had all the money I could ever need to do anything, but I kept making more money. More money, always. I wanted more. Not because I needed more, but just because it was possible. And I thought that that was sort of weird, and I felt like I wasn't really playing the game. So I quit the game until further notice. Maybe someday in the future I'll pick it up again. I really hope those tint changes and color changes aren't constant. I prefer this color. I wonder if I just like keep my hand here if it'll stay. Oh no. I hope that doesn't end up in the final video. That would sort of stink. How did you get to the name Megneous by Tim3LPs? The name Megneous actually is sort of interesting. Those of you know that I very much enjoy space and dinosaurs and science and stuff like that. I also, at one point in my life, really liked geology. I never studied geology in university, mind you. Most things I study in university because, you know, I was in university and I needed to take classes anyway, may as well take things that I enjoyed. I also enjoyed geology, but I never took a class. Now, igneous rocks, I believe that obsidian is an igneous rock. There are a few others that we could name off, but that's not really important. Igneous rocks, I believe, are rocks that are made in like volcanic activity. And igneous rocks were my favorite rocks when I studied geology in high school out of igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks. So I wanted a name that sounded like igneous, and also rocks are just generally cool anyway. I actually almost went with an LP name, Granite. Yeah, people could call me Gran, and my name would be Granite on YouTube, but I decided not to go with that. That was sort of strange. So I decided to take igneous and put an M in front of it because my name is Michael, and it was Megneous, and I thought that Megneous sounded really strange. So I decided to change the I to an E to Megneous, and I thought that sounded pretty cool. So that's the name that I ended up going with. My name is Megneous. Michael plus igneous rocks equals Megneous. Strange, but I like it. I like it now. It fits. Lapuis Astro says, "You awesome." Lapuis, no, you are awesome. Random Code 9 asks me, why do we always get the S block in Tetris when we need an I block? Random Code 9, I'm sorry, but there are some things even I don't know. I'll let you know if I find out, though. TNT is Cool 54 asks me, do you know or will you buy a game called SimCity 5? I didn't buy it because I knew it was going to suck terribly, and I was right, and all of the controversy that came from SimCity 5 was really entertaining, but I didn't really want to be any part of it. It was not exactly something I wanted to get involved with. A lot of drama. EA is sort of a crap company. They treat gamers very badly and treat gaming like a business industry rather than an art, and they don't treat their developers very well. They're a really bad publisher. They have lots of good games, but they have a very bad attitude, and I don't approve of that. I approve more so of how indie developers approach the industry and how indie developers approach customers and gamers in general. That's the difference. Indie developers view their customers as gamers, whereas EA views gamers as customers. And I think there's a very big difference in that sort of outlook when you're approaching the gaming industry, so I don't approve of EA, and I won't be buying any SimCity games from now on, because, yeah. Alright, let's see. Will you ever make a pig farm by Ahmed Mauri? And the answer to that is no, I never did make a pig farm in my first Minecraft Dinosaurs LP, but I suppose in the future, since we're in a new world, we can make a pig farm. I'll keep that in mind. Pig farm, pig farm, pig farm. He also asks, will you make a moat of lava to protect yourself from zombies, skeletons, spiders, endermen, and creepers? That is also something we never did. I never really played around with moats of water, let alone lava. Sounds really dangerous. Sounds like something that I would love to try to do. So, maybe. We'll work on it. We'll see. Jet Dino Zoo. That is not a question. Let's see. That is not a question either. Elizabeth Hewitt asked me what is my favorite game, and again, that would probably be Final Fantasy XI. I wish that Final Fantasy XI would just be, like, updated to current graphics, and maybe, like, add some more stuff, like more jobs and stuff like that, and basically wipe the servers and make everyone start all over again. I think that would do it. Also get rid of level sync, because level sync, although an amazing feature for Final Fantasy XI, was not something... I think it sort of ruined the community, because Final Fantasy XI used to be a game where you like were forced to play with these people you hated, and you had to work together as a team, and it was really freaking hard to level. Like, Yatunga Jungle, the first time I remember leveling up through it was like absurd. I have over 111 days played on Final Fantasy XI, and I never did get a single character to level 75 because I stopped playing before Level Sync came out. Level Sync made everything so much more convenient, yes, but it also made the game so easy to get parties, and it made everyone like so easy. Everything was so easy to do after that that when I did play it a little bit after Level Sync, I just decided that it wasn't the game that I remembered playing, and nah, oh well. So yeah, Final Fantasy XI always. LOD7 says, I don't know, you choose. That is not a question. Right, so that's the end of the questions on the 100 subs questions and answers. Now we're moving over to the 5,000 subs questions and answers, where probably some of you did ask me questions, but I never answered. Again, I apologize. I'm very sorry. So let's see these new questions. Fallon Constantino asked me 4 questions. Let's see. My Minecraft has no sound. How do we fix it? Sorry, but I'm not qualified to help you fix your computer problems. How do you install multiplayer on Minecraft? You don't install it. You can do it from the start. My real name is Okay, I'm not going to say your real name on a video that possibly thousands of people will see. What do I think of your name? I think your name is very unique and awesome, and I wish that my name were anywhere near as cool as yours. My name is, I believe, the 7th most common name for males in the English language. Michael. Yeah, not very interesting. I wish I had a different name, but oh well, Michael is okay for now. When or if I get... Are we going to play collaborations? Yeah, sorry, I have collaborations with other YouTubers I would love to play, and sometimes do play with my subscribers. If you want to see me, you should go over to Super Robo Play, their channel, because they have a Minecraft server that I sometimes go to if you're looking to play with me. I'll put a link in the description to their channel. They have a Minecraft server that they keep up, and I go on there sometimes and meet subscribers and meet Alex and Jason, but I'm not going to make a Minecraft server of my own because I don't want to keep my computer on 24/7, etc., etc. Also, I mean, who has time to run a server when I have a YouTube channel? What are your computer specs? They're pretty decent. I'll do a write-up of them somewhere, maybe in the description if I remember. What job did you want to do when you were a kid? By Aiden Ross Fitzgibbons? Okay, Mr. or Mrs. Fitzgibbons. What did I want to do when I was a kid? I wanted to do a lot of stuff when I was a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut, obviously. I wanted to be an astronomer. And I was really disappointed when I grew up to find out that astronauts and astronomers are actually, like, different jobs. You can't be both. You have to, like, either go into the military to have a good chance of becoming an astronaut because you need to, like, fly a lot of fighter jets and stuff. Or you can spend lots and lots and lots of time in university and then get your bachelor's degree and master's degree and then your PhD and then try to get a job in like NASA or something like that, and probably you're not going to get a job. And even if you do get a job, you're not going to be paid very well compared to other things you could be doing. So all in all, I'm pretty satisfied with where my life is right now. I make enough money on YouTube and private tutoring, but I still feel I would like to do something in the real space industry, not just encouraging people to join the space industry, but I don't really have time for that. Also, I get the feeling that if I did do something for pay with the chance of me being fired and I have like deadlines and stuff like that, I get the feeling that my passion for space would very quickly turn into sort of a very slight hatred, sort of an annoyance, because doing something you love for money tends to make things go from being hobbies and loves and passions to a job, and I would rather not lose that for space because I'm very excited about space and I don't want to get annoyed at it. I feel there were other things that I wanted to do as a kid. I also wanted to be a marine biologist. If you guys don't know what marine biologists are, they're biologists, they study animals and plants that live in the oceans. Specifically, I wanted to do the oceans. I suppose marine biologists can also do lakes and rivers and ponds, freshwater, but specifically I wanted to do saltwater because I think that the oceans are amazing ecosystems full of amazing creatures that I just want to touch all of them, except for stonefish. Stonefish scared the crap out of me, so don't touch stonefish. I also wanted to be a protostologist. If you don't know what a protostologist is, protists were this extra group, this extra kingdom of like microorganisms that we're not really sure what they are in terms of how to categorize them into plants, animals, fungus, bacteria. So protists were just like these eukaryotic things, eukaryotic microorganisms that no one was really like very sure how to classify them. These days we're using genetics to categorize protists into like animal-like protists and plant-like protists and fungus-like protists. But originally it was much more mysterious, and it still is really mysterious. We don't know anything about protists compared to, say, animals or plants, or even fungus, really. And fungus is really weird when you think about it. So I wanted to be a protistologist. I wanted to study all kinds of protists that are like all over the world, in oceans and in the soil in your backyard and in raw sewage and things like that. I thought that being a microbiologist would be freaking amazing. I still have a textbook on microbiology that I read sometimes because, dude, bacteria and protists are just so cool. What else did I want to be? I wanted to be a few other things. Oh, a linguist. Of course, what I did end up studying. I did end up studying linguistics and Japanese language in university, and I ended up graduating with degrees in Japanese and linguistics, but I didn't actually want to get a job where I like translated Japanese, so I just ended up living in Asia and like traveling around Asia a lot. I realize that most people are probably thinking like, oh, you know, if you study something in university, you should probably like use that in your job. And while that's true in the United States where I'm from, in Japan and in Asia, really what you study in university has nothing to do with what you do as a job. It's really just sort of a piece of paper to be like, yo, I can study and learn stuff. Please hire me. And the rest is just like looking good and making a good impression in your interview. And studying for extra tests that you have to take after university too, like extracurricular certifications. Words. But yeah, so I wanted to be a lot of things, and I ended up deciding to study linguistics and Japanese and East Asian languages, specifically East Asian culture, East Asian literature, and that's where I live now in South Korea. So I guess that decided where I ended up living, but it didn't end up deciding what I ended up doing or what I'm really most passionate about. So that's very interesting. I guess I really just sort of learned how to live in another part of the world so that I could leave the United States. I know some people end up asking about questions about why I left the United States. We'll address that in just a moment as soon as we get to some other things. TNT is Cool 54 asks, I ask this question a lot. The question is, have you ever almost died in a car or person or a shark? Have I ever almost died in a car accident or a person trying to kill me or a shark trying to kill me? If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. Why did you start YouTube? Already answered that one, but for almost dying, I've almost died several times actually in my life. Two really major ones I'll tell you about. The first time I essentially was in a tornado. I wasn't inside a tornado, but there was a tornado very close by when I lived in another part of the United States before I left. I was in a log cabin with my father, and we needed to get out of the log cabin because we lived in the woods, like on a mountain, and we needed to go to civilization just in case like a tree fell across the power lines and we got like stranded up on this mountain. So what we ended up doing was getting ready, and we were about to open the door to get in the car, open the door to go outside to get into the car, and there was this very loud crashing sound, and the log cabin almost shook, basically. We had no idea what it was, but when we opened the door, the entire doorway was blocked by a tree. Yeah, a tree had fallen in our front yard across the patio/porch, and it had blocked the doorway completely. If we had left the log cabin a second, 5 seconds earlier, we probably would have been crushed by this tree. It wasn't just like a small tree, it was an actual tree. So I could have died then very easily, been crushed by a tree. Also, another time when I was in university and I and my ex-girlfriend had recently had a fight, I was very distracted by my hurt feelings and my very sensitive heart, and I was walking somewhere. I don't remember exactly where, but I was crossing the street, and I was crossing the street when the walk signal was red. Do not do this, ladies and gentlemen. Jaywalking is very stupid and not safe. And as I was walking, because, you know, traffic was stopped because it was also a red light, but I had a red light too. As I was walking across the road, I looked up at the red light and noticed that the next lane was a green turn signal. So I stopped as soon as I saw that and took like a jump back. And as I was going by, a car like zoomed in front of me and turned left. It didn't slow down at all to take this turn left, by the way. It was really reckless driving, but they came incredibly close to hitting me and honked their horn like as they went by me. And I realized that if I hadn't looked up and saw that green turn signal and kept walking, I would have been clipped by this car going really, really fast and very possibly would have broken my legs or possibly really died. So those are the times that I've almost died, the most serious times I almost died. I also had a very serious lung problem when I was younger that I had to have surgery for, but I was never really afraid of dying then. I trust medical personnel really well. Actually, I think that medical people are amazing. I wasn't worried about dying then. So those 2 times were the times I came really close to dying, and I've had semi-major surgery in the past, so Okay, how old are you? Like a King 3 asks. I am in my mid-20s. I am not as young as most of my subscribers, but I'm not as old as some of you either. I know that some of you either are lying on your YouTube profiles or demographics is just strange, but apparently there's a decent number of 40-plus-year-olds who watch my videos, and I think what's going on is that some of you have young children that you watch my YouTube videos with, and I think that that's pretty cool. So adults with children watching my channel, and maybe some adults watching it alone. Yeah. So I'm in my mid-20s. I'm not going to tell you exactly how old I am because you don't need to know that. But yes. What motivated you to do YouTube and how did you get where you are now? By Higgs2176. Higgs, I already answered this question, but how did I get to where I am now? Where we are now is currently about 20,000 subscribers. I got to 20,000 mostly through Minecraft Dinosaurs. Minecraft Dinosaurs was the series that really kicked off our career as a YouTuber, I guess you could say. Also, I get a decent number of people coming in from Kerbal Space Program. Kerbal Space Program is an amazing game. I very much suggest that you buy it. You just missed the Steam sale, actually. It was like 40% off. You could have gotten it for $13. But you had to have bought it before the end of April, I believe, to get all of the future expansions for that price included. So you guys, if you buy it now, you're going to have to buy the expansions. But they'll be amazing, so I encourage you to do that anyway. Congrats on 5,000 subs. Thank you very much, Basement Band. How did you get going on YouTube? I already told you, Basement Band, so I apologize for not answering your question specifically. What's your favorite LP so far? By Hunter7173. My favorite LP. My favorite Let's Play. Probably Kurt J-Mac playing Kerbal Space Program. Kurt J-Mac is an amazing person. I would love nothing more than Kurt J-Mac acknowledging me as, like, a person. He answered one of my questions once. I asked him about YouTube and making money on YouTube, and he answered, but he seemed sort of angry about it because I asked about money, and he doesn't really care about money, so that was sort of embarrassing. But he's answered one of my questions on Farlands or Bust. He plays Kerbal Space Program. He has over 40 episodes. I watched all of them. He was the one that made me decide to buy Kerbal Space Program, so thank you, Kurt J-Mac, if you ever end up watching this. Those of you who subscribe to both me and Kurt J-Mac, I would appreciate it if you would tell him to watch this video, because Kurt J-Mac, I love you. Keep being a space enthusiast. You are amazing, and you are inspiring future generations of space enthusiasts, just like I'm trying to do now. Thank you very much. Okay, so why did you stop the Spore LP, and when are you starting a new LP? Young Neil, I stopped the Spore LP because YouTube would not listen to me using the whole I didn't get permission from EA to monetize my videos, but I believed that under fair use that I could do that anyway, and if I wanted to claim fair use, I would at this point probably have to like get a lawyer and like go to court. And I don't really want to do that, so I just decided to boycott EA. So screw EA, you guys suck, and I wish that you would let me monetize your gameplay footage because that would be pretty cool, and then we could be friends. But you also sort of ruined Spore. Yeah, Spore was supposed to be a really cool game, and you ruined it for me, so that's what you get, EA. Will you ever do an LP with your subs? Possibly. One of the primary games that I'm thinking about this in the future is Starbound. If you guys don't know about Starbound, you should totally go to their website. playstarbound.com, I think it is. Starbound is going to be an amazing space-based game where you go to different planets. like randomly generated planets with randomly generated weather effects, randomly generated liquids, randomly generated alien life, randomly generated structures, randomly generated difficulty levels. Everything is randomly generated. And you get to explore the universe, basically. It's like Terraria, but many planets and lots more randomly generated stuff, not just the landscape. And it's multiplayer, so if I were playing that, I'm pretty sure I would want to play it with my subscribers because Starbound is going to be amazing. I've already been confirmed for a press copy, which it should come out sometime before the end of this year, the beta. So yeah, we'll talk about that playing with you guys on Starbound. If you want to play with me, you should totally go to their website and pre-order now because it's going to be cheaper now than it'll ever be in the future. So you need to get it. Get Starbound. I will put a link in the description if I remember. Young Neil. Mysterious Sniper. Mysterious Sniper asks me, why did you leave the USA? This is sort of a personal question, and I said that it was okay to ask personal questions. I would decide if I want to answer or not. I will totally answer this question. So, Mysterious Sniper, I left the USA for multiple reasons. In the USA, I am a relatively young person compared to most politicians. Most politicians are in their 40s. I'm in my mid-20s. I'm very liberal compared to most politicians, and most Americans in general, I think. I'm pretty liberal, especially when I was in university. So, I, for example, believe that healthcare should not be a private industry. I believe that healthcare should be a public industry run by the government so that we are not taken advantage of by private corporations, not only private hospitals, but also private insurance companies. That's the real kicker in American healthcare. Private insurance companies really make it difficult to go to the hospital. Just as an example, for example, dentistry. When I got a root canal, in America, it was like $2,500 when I was a child. A root canal here in South Korea cost $23. $23 for a root canal compared to $2,500 that I paid when I lived in the United States. Or my mother paid, actually. Bless her heart. And yeah, going to the hospital is also very affordable here in Korea. If I'm sick, if I need medicine, I can go to the hospital or go to the pharmacy, and I can get all the medicine that I need for like $7. I can get my cavities fixed if I have a cavity for $10. Yeah, healthcare is very accessible in most of the civilized world, but America's healthcare system is completely screwed up. We have private healthcare industry, private insurance, and it really jacks up the price. And I'm not okay with paying taxes in a country where my taxes aren't being used to help people, but are going to things like war and, yeah, war profiteering and things like that. I'm not okay with that. Also, public transportation is a necessity, I think, in the future. Korea has public transportation. It has some of the best public transportation in the world. I can travel across the entire Korean peninsula in like 3 hours on a high-speed rail train, and that only cost me like $30. Whereas I realize that Korea is very small, mind you. It's smaller than my home state, so I understand that Korea is small, but the public transportation system in Korea for its size is better than any state that I've ever been to in the United States, so I appreciate that. Crime is also lower here. Our crime rate is non-existent, basically, compared to the US, where a very high wealth disparity and very high levels of poverty cause lots of crime. And I think that crime is sort of scary, especially because guns are legal in the US. Guns are illegal here in Korea, so no one can have guns. I'm pretty sure even the police don't have guns, much like in England. I've never seen a police officer with a gun here in Korea, so if some people do have guns, they're in the military, and they're only allowed to have guns, you know, when they're training or when they're in a war. Military personnel are not allowed to bring guns off of base, so the only people in the entire country with guns are military people, and as a result we have no violent gun crime like, for example, students shooting up schools. That doesn't happen here in Korea because, you know, first of all, we're a small country. Second of all, no guns. I'm sure that some very illegal people do have guns, but it's such a small number that the statistics mean that accidental gun deaths of people who aren't doing anything illegal but accidentally kill themselves because they don't know how to use guns properly, those are also non-existent because we don't have stupid people with guns, because although we do have stupid people, we don't have guns. And stupid people plus guns, very bad combination that America thinks is completely okay, and I'm not cool with that. So, all sorts of reasons I left the United States. Some are personal, some are political, some are economical, lots and lots of reasons. The point is that I enjoy living here more than I enjoyed living in the US, and I have no problems with learning a new language if it means that I get to live in a new country, because new countries are cool anyway. I very strongly encourage all of you to study abroad, to go abroad, and to learn about new cultures, new languages, and new ways of living, because you should do that. It's totally cool. You'll be much smarter for it. And people from other countries will like you much better. People don't really like people who've only lived their entire lives in one country and think one country is the best, because such a thing is not true. This is not reality. That's not a question. What got you interested in space and dinos? What got me interested in space? I have no idea. I've always been interested in space since I was young. Maybe perhaps when my uncle took me outside at night in Florida, and he showed me stars with his telescope and tried to show me the planets, but I don't really remember seeing the planets very well. So maybe that. Dinosaurs, who hasn't been interested in dinosaurs since they were a kid? By the way, Multi-Rainbow Yoshi is the person who asked this question. Multi-Rainbow Yoshi, weren't you interested in dinosaurs when you were a child? Didn't you dream of riding a T-Rex and various dinosaurs, Ankylosaurus and Pachycephalosaurus? Pachycephalosaurus? Yeah. So I loved dinos when I was a child. My grandmother actually paid an illustrator and children's book writer to write a story about me as a child. I don't know if it was like literally a book written and illustrated for me, or if it was like sort of a template with like my name and pictures of a child that looked similar to me like being placed in it. So basically what ended up happening was that this kid loved dinosaurs. His room was filled with dinosaur stuff and dinosaur pictures and all of that really cool stuff. And then man, the camera's really freaking out at the moment. I would appreciate it if you would stop camera, stop. He goes to sleep in his room with like his dinosaur blankets and his dinosaur toys, and he wakes up and it's the past, and he's probably in like the Cretaceous period based on the dinosaurs I remember seeing, and he like rides a lot of dinosaurs and stuff, and then he goes back to his own time and he grows up to become a paleontologist, I believe. It's been a long time since I've seen that book, but my grandmother was awesome. So yeah, that probably had a lot to do with it, as well as like going to... I remember the first time I went to a museum and saw dinosaur fossils, dinosaur bones. I was like, these things were freaking huge, and they were so cool. They had big teeth. Why would you not love dinosaurs? Dinosaurs are so cool. Beta Noir asks, why are there so many basketball courts around here? And I answer, because we're in a basketball playing area? Gaming Creeper GC asks, why were you in Korea and why are you so intrigued about Korea? Why am I in Korea? I'm in Korea because this is where I live. I came to Korea because I needed a job that was better than a job working in a general store or something like that, so I taught English here. But I discovered very quickly that I hate teaching English in public schools and private schools here in Korea because social hierarchies, I don't do very well with that. I have sort of a problem with authority figures who are less qualified and less intelligent than me telling me what to do, so I didn't really fit in with the work atmosphere in Korea. So I decided to just live here, and visa issues are sort of a problem. So, it's sort of working out, but we'll see. Currently also taking the social integration program, as you guys may know, and learning Korean so that I can get a permanent residency visa. Fun times. Why did I choose Korea and not Japan? I learned Japanese when I was in university. Why did I not go to Japan? This is something I ask myself almost daily, in fact. And I don't know. I could have gone to Japan, but I already spoke Japanese, and I wanted to learn a new language. I wanted to go to a new country. And when I was young, I had a half Korean, half Caucasian friend who took me to his church. I don't go to church now, but when I was younger, his family went to church, and they invited me to go to church. And I thought it would be more interesting than going to my mother's church, because my mother's church was full of really old white people, and it was pretty boring. His church, on the other hand, they ate food every single Sunday, unlike my mother's church where they ate food only one Sunday out of the month. They also had like judo tournaments, and there were lots of young people there, so it was pretty cool. So I went to that church, and that was really cool, and there were lots of Korean young people there, and I heard lots of older people speaking Korean, so I was sort of intrigued with Korean since I was a young child, but I didn't really start studying it until I finished university, so sort of a late interest in Korea and Korean, I guess, but that's okay, because I'm here now and everything's cool. Gaming Creeper GC also asks, how did you become so famous? I'm not really that famous. I am more famous, I think, than most people on YouTube, and I'm watching my rank go up as I like pass people who are getting subscribers slower than me. But all things considered, I'm not really that famous on YouTube. I can't just work for like 2 years and then retire like PewDiePie probably can. I don't know why he's still working. He undoubtedly has millions of dollars, so I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, I'm not that famous yet, but we're getting there with your help. Thank you. Moving on. Colormine Creations. I haven't seen you either in a while. Colormine, where are you? Let me know below in the comments. Colormine Creations asks, what got you interested in linguistics? Because linguistics is awesome. Particularly, I studied articulatory phonetics. Articulatory phonetics, for example, is the study of how the tongue fits in the mouth and what places in the mouth it touches while doing specific kinds of articulations with airflow, to discuss how to make sounds in various languages and how speakers of various languages make their sounds. This goes along with like dialects and lots of other stuff such as synchronic variation and diachronic variation, which, to explain that very quickly, synchronic variation is in one language at one time in various places, and perhaps even one place, how people pronounce things differently. There are variants of words and pronunciations, whereas diachronic variation means change in a language over time. So I studied phonology not only in terms of dialects, variation at the current moment, but how languages change over time. Totally awesome stuff. I love phonetics. I love sounds. Some of my favorite sounds, just because we're on video and this is the internet, are ejectives. Ejectives are sounds that are made by closing up your vocal tract and increasing subglottal pressure and then popping it. This is not the click sounds. The click sounds in Africa, by the way, are inhaling. These are exhaling sounds. So, for example, and are there any others I can do? These are exhaling sounds. My lips are really dry at the moment, so this doesn't work very well, but that's a bilabial ejective. That's an alveolar ejective, and a velar ejective is fun times. They are voiceless sounds, by the way. Voiced and voiceless is also fun. I could talk forever about the Korean phonological differences with English, but that's not... Let's talk about that another time. Those of you interested in linguistics, please send me an email at megneous@gmail.com. I will tell you all about phonology and phonetics. How many subscribers do you think you'll have by next year? I have absolutely no idea. I will have to check Social Blade to find out. Hopefully 50,000. I don't know yet. We'll see. Maybe more than that. I don't know. After you're done with Minecraft that was Eduardo Valdez, by the way. Saul Galvan, after you're done with Minecraft Dinosaurs, what else are you going to play in Minecraft? Thinking about Pixelmon and Galacticraft. We'll see if I can get Galacticraft to even work. I haven't tested Pixelmon yet, which is the Pokemon mod of Minecraft, but I'm going to test that out, and maybe we'll do that. If you would like to see the Pokemon mod in Minecraft, please let me know below in the comments. I would very much appreciate that. Okay, and Eduardo Valdez asks some more questions. When will you stop making videos? When I can no longer make my living from making videos. That would probably be the best answer. As long as I'm making enough money to live off, I don't see any reason to stop. Assuming that you guys continue enjoying and continue watching and my view count doesn't bottom out, I'm pretty sure I will continue making videos for the rest of my career, I guess. Oh, interesting, huh? Until I die. Or retire, I guess, possibly. What did you want to be when you were a kid? I already answered that. How long have you taught? Brandon Weiss asks, how long have you taught? I taught a few classes in university in the United States, like low-level Japanese classes, and I also did private aid for the teacher. I was a teaching assistant for one of my computer science classes, as well as a teaching assistant for Japanese, and I feel like they're linguistics. I sort of like helped out a lot of students with linguistics, but that wasn't really an official teaching assistant sort of thing. But I did that first, teaching. When I came to Korea, I've been teaching for like 1.5 years as a real like salaried teacher, and then about 6 months officially as like private tutoring, which isn't so much in an official capacity, but just me going to people's homes and tutoring their children. So that's not official, but I much prefer that because I get to spend one-on-one time with a student. If they have problems, I can help them and answer them. And if they don't do their homework or don't study, I can get on to them, as opposed to when I have, 30 people in a class, I can't really give anyone individual attention. It's really sort of unfortunate that English classes in Korea are so terrible, because my high school students couldn't speak English like almost at all, except for maybe like 5 or 6 students, whereas my private students that I teach, they start off not being able to speak English at all, and within like 4 months they're speaking English with me because I know how to teach English. But private and public schools don't allow me to teach English the way it needs to be taught, and there are too many students to give individual attention. So 4 months is not a realistic way and not a realistic expectation for public schools, but it is for private tutoring, and I like people advancing quickly, so I like private tutoring. When do you get on Minecraft? Yeah, we're gonna skip that one. Deity Cord asks, who exactly is Mr. Swiggles? Be specific, please. A lot of people have asked, who is Mr. Swiggles, throughout the course of my YouTube career. Mr. Swiggles is nothing ridiculous like my life partner or my boyfriend, nothing like that. No. We're just friends. When my contract ended here in Korea, I also lost my apartment, because here in Korea, English teachers are given an apartment as well as a contract for working. So your apartment isn't really yours, it belongs to your school. Really, they're paying for it, but it's included in your pay. It's included in your contract. So you live there, belongs to your school. When your school job ends, they take the apartment back and you have to get out. I didn't have another place to live here in this town, so Mr. Swiggles, I had just met him a week or two before. I was like, yo, dude, I'm gonna lose my apartment. Can I stay with you for a while? And he said, sure, I don't mind. So Mr. Swiggles is my friend who is my roommate, allowing me to live with him until I move out. Yep, that's about it. YOLO Games Met Remen asks, are you gay? The answer to this is no, I am not gay. I'm sorry. For any of you male viewers who maybe thought that you would seduce me and get me to speak my very glorious voice to you, unfortunately that's not really possible. Although to my female subscribers, it's probably not going to work out between us like that anyway, but yeah, I have lots of gay friends, and I'm very behind the whole gay movement, gay rights, gay marriage. I'm very much into that, but I myself am not homosexual, although I do love gay pride parades. They are like some of the most fun things I've done in my life. Really interesting people that you can meet there. Also having older gay men flirt with me is very flattering. It's hard to explain why it's more flattering than like older women flirting, but it's flattering nonetheless. So no, I am not homosexual, but there's nothing wrong with that, because everyone is however they are, and people are all beautiful and amazing in their own unique ways. Will you do any more Minecraft mods? Already answered this. Do you know PewDiePie? Lily Gorojovsky asks me. It sounds Russian. Lily, yes, I do know PewDiePie. I personally don't subscribe to him because his Let's Play style is very different from what I enjoy. I enjoy more intellectual sort of style, more intellectual discussions. I enjoy learning about science when I watch Let's Plays and stuff like that, which is why I love Kurt J. Mac and why I'm subscribed to SciShow. I don't enjoy Let's Play so much that just continually yell curse words, so I don't watch Rooster Teeth or PewDiePie. I have no problem with cursing. As some of you know, I do occasionally curse in my videos, but I would like people to curse while also teaching me something about life or talking about something interesting. I don't find reaction videos very interesting for similar reasons. I prefer deeper content, not shallow content. But hey, that's just me. You guys can like whatever you want. If you love PewDiePie, go for it. PewDiePie is undoubtedly a very skilled YouTuber because he knows exactly what his audience wants and he gives it to them, and that's cool. But I want a slightly different kind of audience on my channel. What is your favorite game? Already asked that. Matt time, I guess you could say. Anything counts from first party random flash games. Okay, so Matt time, I'm going to answer this question talking about flash games because you mentioned flash games. I really enjoy tower defense flash games, actually. Flash games, there are a few that I've played that I enjoy, but specifically tower defense games. I love tower defense games. The idea of like upgrading defense units is totally cool. Dungeon Defenders is another game that I really enjoy. I should have gotten some water before I started this recording. God, this is a really long recording. But anyway, Dungeon Defenders is a game that I have on Steam. Dungeon Defenders is really, really fun. It's a game where it's a tower defense game, but you also run around as a character and attack the monsters deliberately as yourself, as well as upgrading towers and stuff like that. Really good game. You guys should check it out. We're going to skip that question right there, LOL. Will you do another Let's Play of Faster Than Light? I will continue our Let's Play of Faster Than Light when I feel like playing it more. We have 2 more ships that I haven't played with yet. The Zoltan Cruiser, which is the green ship with the shield. And I also unlocked some sort of cruiser that I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a longer ship. It's black. I think maybe it's the Federation Cruiser, maybe? I don't know. I can't remember, but there are 2 more ships that we need to play, so we'll look into that. Megneous, you are awesome by Muaz Piat. Yes, thank you. You are more awesome. I really love so many people feel like telling me good things as opposed to like trolling in the comments and things like that. But I don't know, eventually it gets sort of like embarrassing and awkward to have so many people tell you that you're awesome. I don't think I'm awesome. I think that I'm just a guy who likes to read and study, and then because I'm too nerdy to go outside and like interact with real people in real life, I like play video games and record myself playing video games in my apartment all day. It's actually sort of pathetic if you think about it. Sort of a similar problem to Kurt J. Mac, except that I think I'm slightly more outgoing than Kurt J. Mac. Kurt J. Mac doesn't do video recordings very often, but a very similar problem. We don't really like people. We like talking to people online, but meeting people in real life is sort of difficult. Will you do a Minecraft Let's Play with your subs? Currently no plans, but if you want to meet me, go over to Super Roboplay and go on their server. I occasionally show up there, so go to Super Roboplay, subscribe to them because Alex and Jason are cool guys, and of course, go to their Minecraft server. Will you do Team Fortress 2 Let's Plays? Benjamin Sam asks this. No, probably not. I'm very bad at Team Fortress 2. Very bad. Like, ridiculously bad. So, probably not. Gamble Ryan 2012 asks, what kind of ham do you prefer? Ham is delicious, like all ham. But if I had to choose a certain kind of ham, I would say honey ham. I think that honey coming from bees, arthropods, insects, and like mixing it with the flesh of a pig just sounds really strange, but honey and ham go together so well. Oh, it's so good. So basically any kind of smoked honey ham. Oh. You can't find American style meat very easily here in Korea, so whenever I think about American food, I get really nostalgic, and I want to fly back to the United States. Specifically, I've been thinking recently about an Arby's cheddar cheese melt with curly fries sifted into the sandwich with like a layer of Arby's sauce, and then Arby's cheese melts, roast beef, and then melted cheese, and then curly fries, and then Arby's sauce, and then roast beef, and then cheese, and just like do it like this and then crush it so that I can eat it. That's how I used to eat Arby's cheese melts when I lived in the US. Go to Arby's, it's delicious. Don't eat too many though, it's pretty unhealthy. Go to the gym. What is the next question? What is your favorite food by Connor Meeser? My favorite food at the moment would probably be jangjorim. Jangjorim is a Korean meat that it's boneless pork, I think, maybe boneless pork, maybe. And when you pull on the meat, it like falls apart into strings, and it's cooked and marinated and soaked, in fact, in a sauce that's made from soy sauce and some special kinds of oil and maybe some sugar. And usually when you get jangjorim, there's also mechurial, which is like quail eggs, I'm pretty sure. I think they're quail eggs. So like quail eggs also are boiled in the jangjorim sauce with the meat. And they peel them after they're boiled, and then they put them peeled, of course, not with the shell, in with the jangjorim. And jangjorim is so delicious. It's like meat of the heavens. But if I had the choice between jangjorim and an Arby's cheddar cheese melt right now, I would go with the cheddar cheese melt because, oh, cheddar cheese melts. Oh, so good. Connor Meeser also asks, what is your favorite game? Already answered. Tim3LPs says, tell me about your time before 100 subs. Also, don't forget summer of last year. This is a good point, actually. One of my subscribers, Eggmaster, was my very first subscriber. I remember his name. He also gave me 2 games. I think he gave me Faster Than Light. He also gave me Orcs Must Die 2, I believe. But anyway, so he was my first subscriber, and Tim3LPs was one of my, maybe in my 60s range. Before I got 100 subs, we were really small. We weren't very important. I didn't play interesting games, and my commentary style was atrocious. Like, really, if you go back and look, it's really, really terrible. But I don't know, it wasn't really that big of a deal. We just didn't have that many subscribers. Things weren't that different. I did start off in the summer, actually, making videos, but then I didn't grow as quickly as I wanted, so I took a 5-month break, during which time Lewis of Mario Cat Gaming didn't take a break, and he, like, grew very, very quickly. And I really regret taking that 5-month break, because, oh man, I could be so much larger now if I had, like, gone along with Lewis and, like, kept making videos and done this seriously, and, like, learned how to make thumbnails, which I still don't know how to do, basically. I could be a lot larger, and I would also have more videos and more content. I should have done that, but I didn't do that, but it's okay because we ended up growing very well anyway, and I'm looking forward to see how much we continue growing in the future. How old are you? Cody Nix already answered. How high and how deep can your voice go? Joshua Perez. This is an interesting question. I didn't see this one. How high can my voice go?
I'm not really sure, but I think that something like this is as high as it can go.
Yeah, so that's probably about as high as my voice can go, and maybe something like this is... it doesn't sound right at all. Maybe so... no. It just sounds really strange to do something like this. My voice gets really, like, slow as well. I'm very bad at doing very low voices. However, some people have said before that I'm pretty good at doing impressions of people, like impressions of Gollum. I'm gonna move my mic a little bit when I do this because I don't know if this is gonna hurt your ears or not, but I'll try to do an impression of Gollum.
They stole our precious. Filthy, stinking hobbitses. Filthy, stinking hobbitses.
Yeah, so I'm a phonetician. I enjoy sounds. I enjoy language. So I don't know. Mimicking Gollum is pretty fun. Also, what else? Mimicking Stitch, maybe. What does he say?
Ohana means family. Family means no one gets left behind. Yeah. This is my family. I found it all on my own. It is little and broken, but still good. Yeah, still good.
Yeah, so fun times impersonating people. Neda. How old are you? Voice. What was your first video? Colin asked, Colin W01. My first video, I believe, was Limbo? I played Limbo with my girlfriend at the time, and we uploaded some videos of her playing Limbo and me helping her play Limbo, but the audio quality was terrible, so I ended up deleting them. Blue Lightning, how long have you been playing Minecraft? I played Minecraft maybe 1 or 2 times before my very first episode of Minecraft Dinosaurs. So, basically, you've watched me play Minecraft the entire time I've played Minecraft. You've been with me the entire time. Cersei's the Undead asks, this may seem like a dumb question, but how are you able to record off your PC? I use Fraps for my games, and I'm currently using a Logitech webcam to record this video, so Logitech webcam software also comes with a way to record video, but I had to change the settings to record with high definition and stuff like that. Do you have any advice for new YouTubers from Ginger and 6 Guys? My first advice for new YouTubers, if you're trying to get people to watch you play video games, is you really need to not worry about stuff at the beginning. Like, don't worry about anything, really. Just start making your videos. Start making your videos, make content daily or maybe like 4 times a week at the minimum, I would say, because people want to see content. So 4 times a week is probably like the lowest I would be willing to go. And don't worry about your video quality. Don't worry about your audio quality. You can fix that. You can fix that later, and your later videos will be much better. Look at Minecraft Dinosaurs. I had all sorts of audio problems. Now they're fixed. But if I saw those audio problems and stopped making my videos, what would have happened? I wouldn't be able to be a YouTuber right now. If I had told myself I can't do this, if I had told myself I am unable to become a YouTuber because my equipment or my voice or something is so terrible, then I never would have become a YouTuber. And where would you guys be now? So, yes, I think that the very first thing I would say to people is don't worry about so much. Just record your stuff and upload it and learn as you go. When you get better, you can go back and delete things, you can edit things, you can fix things, you can do videos again, but just get started and do it. And if you get discouraged because you miss a day or miss 2 days or even miss a week, don't get discouraged. Just keep making your videos when you can, because I thought many times like, oh, I missed a video yesterday. If I make one now, like I'm going to feel bad. People are going to judge me. No, they don't. People understand that you have a real life, you have responsibilities, and people that you want to watch your videos are going to stick around and watch your videos anyway. All the other people who hate on you, they're not really that important. They're just jerks. Don't worry about them. Just do it, make your videos, put up your content, and please do it legally. Please get permission from publishers and developers, and try to avoid joining a network until you get at least 1,200,000 views a month, because once you get 1,200,000 views a month, then you can contact networks and stuff, and they will negotiate and give you a better contract, as opposed to if you contact them when you have 100 subscribers, Machinima, other people, they're just going to take 40% of your YouTube revenue, and they're not going to give you crap, because they don't care about you because you're not making them enough money. They have no reason to negotiate with you. And after you sign the contract, there's no reason for them to make that contract better, because you're locked in for a year, possibly 2 years. It's terrible. So do things legally, get permission from the developers and the publishers to monetize your content, get a large user base of subscribers, get at least 1,200,000 views per month, and then start talking to networks and have them fight each other and give you better deals to give you higher cuts of your revenue and better CPM and stuff like that, until you can get into like the network that you dream of, I guess, your dream network. So that's what you should do. Ginger and 6 Guys. Nicolicious asks me, Megneous, what is your preference in women? That's sort of a strange question. That's a pretty personal question. I'm not really sure exactly if I should answer it or not, but I did say that I would answer all the questions that I possibly could. So my preference in women, I don't have a particular preference, but since I live in Asia and I study East Asian languages and East Asian literature and East Asian culture, most of the women I end up dating and have dated in my life have been Asian or East Asian. Mostly East Asian. Mostly, at this point, because I've lived in Korea so long, mostly Japanese and Korean because I lived in Japan during university. I don't prefer Asian women. It's just that I'm surrounded by Asian women, and Caucasian women are not very abundant in Korea. So it's not sort of a preference, but just where do I live and what are most people. I prefer darker hair, I guess. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with blonde hair. I just don't particularly like see blonde hair and think like, oh, that's so beautiful. I tend to like darker hair. I wish that my hair were darker. By the way, my hair doesn't normally look like this. This is like my suit get up. My hair is usually much more messed up and more natural looking than this like sort of comb over like middle-aged businessman sort of thing. But anyway, there's that. In terms of height, I guess I don't prefer a certain height. I've dated all kinds of heights in my life, but most of the girls I've ended up dating have ended up being 5'4", which is really sort of strange that everyone ends up being that. Just so you guys know, what is that? It's somewhere around like 150 centimeters, something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Somewhere around 150 centimeters, about 5'4". I am 5'10", 5'10 and a half, somewhere around 177, 178 centimeters for my personal height. So they like 5'4" is like a good height for hugging, I guess. In terms of weight and things like that, I couldn't care less. I don't dislike people who are overweight. I dislike people who are unhealthy. People who like jog and people who exercise, because I exercise, I've told you guys this before, I go to the gym at least 3 times a week, usually more. I think that being healthy and being fit is very important for living a healthy, active lifestyle. It's good for your brain, it's good for your body, it's good for your personal relationships. If you're having trouble getting dates, whether you're a man or a woman, being in shape and being healthy is like definitely going to get people to be more interested in you, and it gives you something to talk about with people. So if people don't treat their bodies well, if people just eat like junk food and don't work out and stuff like that, I am more likely to dislike them based on that than if they're like slightly overweight or something. I don't really care about that. I care about health, not particularly how like wide people are, I guess you could say. Yeah, so that's about all I need to say about my taste in women, I guess. How old were you when you got your deep voice, and what motivated you to start YouTube? Riley Johnson. Riley Johnson, we've already talked about why I started YouTube, but when did I get my deep voice? I remember when I got my deep voice because I was in the 3rd grade, so I was about 8 years old when my voice started cracking. So I was about 7 and a half or 8 when my voice started cracking. And that was very embarrassing in school because people would like hear it and they would laugh at you because children are dumb and they don't realize that when you grow up, like all boys have cracking voices occasionally. So that was sort of an embarrassing time. But what ended up happening was that in 3rd grade, I was in chorus at my school. And because I was so young, the chorus teacher placed me with the girls to sing the girls' part. And when I was singing, it sounded terrible. And like the chorus teacher was like, no, everyone stop. And then asked me to like sing alone. And she realized that the reason it sounded terrible was because my voice was way too deep to be singing with the girls. So she placed me when I was in elementary school with the high school boys to sing. Yeah, I guess that's interesting that I sounded like a high school boy when I was in elementary school. But yes, my voice is probably one of the strange things about my life. I hit puberty rather early for a boy. I think usually girls are supposed to hit puberty first, but I beat a lot of girls at my school to puberty, so that was sort of an awkward time in my life. When did you decide to start YouTube? Joseph Morin Birch, already talked about it. Jenny Latham says, LOL, some questions people ask. Yes, Jenny, people ask some strange questions, but I'm more than willing to answer all of them. Did you think that you would be going to reach, did you think you would reach this many subs, and what made you start YouTube in the first place? Connor Meeser again. Connor, hello again. I did not think I would reach this many subs. I thought that I would just be another, YouTube nobody. People come, they see one of my videos, they're like, this guy sucks, and then they leave, and then they never see me again, and I never go above like 200 subs. But that is not what's going on, and I'm very happy about that. Jody Lawrence. Jody, I remember you, of course. Jody has made several videos with my face in the texture pack, which is very creepy, but I love him for it. Jody asks, My main question is, what is your theological position? I guess that's the best way to describe it. What do you believe, if anything? I am agnostic, with an I, yes, non-cognitivist. I ask because anyone with such profound interests in space, dinosaurs, and language can only have one interesting answer. We're going to answer this first, and then why South Korea? We already answered why South Korea. Are you watching my Dino series? No, Jody, I'm not watching your Dino series. I'm sorry. I'm really busy with real life and my own YouTube stuff. I'm mea culpa. I'm sorry. And how many cups of sugar does it take to get to the moon? A lot. A lot. Sugar is pretty energy dense, but it's not as energy dense as hydrogen and oxygen that's used as rocket fuel combining, and yeah, it's not that energy dense, so I don't want to think about how many cups of sugar it would take to get to the moon. A lot more than one Saturn V rocket fuel. I'll tell you that. A lot more than one Saturn V made completely out of sugar. My theological position. I knew that someone would ask this question. My theological position, my belief system, is that I personally do not know if there is an omnipotent being or not, and as a science-based person with interest in science and evidence and things like that, my default position on such beliefs is to not believe things until evidence is shown, or I personally have some sort of evidence, which currently I do not have any evidence to supply to other people to provide any sort of reason to believe in an omnipotent being. This isn't to say that I think that there isn't an omnipotent being, which I guess people could call me an agnostic, but I'm not exactly like an agnostic in the way that most people use the word. I consider myself an agnostic atheist because I don't believe in higher powers because I don't have any evidence. However, if an omnipotent being, whether they be like a god or an alien or whatever, came to me and was like, yo dude, I can totally do lots of crap, watch me make a solar system, bang, I would be like, not only are you totally awesome, but because you're so into science and like showing me stuff, I will totally worship you. Religion is sort of a really complicated topic to discuss on YouTube because, you know, there are many different people on YouTube who have various different belief things, and I'm sure that some people feel very, very strongly and may, you know, get into arguments over religion and stuff like that. As you guys know, that I play Minecraft Dinosaurs. Minecraft Dinosaurs is a series where we talk about evolution a lot. That has caused some people to ask things on my Minecraft Dinosaur videos like, do you believe evolution? I don't believe evolution, I understand evolution, because regardless of whether there is an omnipotent being or there isn't an omnipotent being, evolution is a thing that happens. It's a very, very verifiable natural phenomenon that we have plenty of evidence for. We have not only evolutionary data on things that we can view in our lifetime, such as microorganisms, but we have the fossil record for things that are millions of years long that we can't view in a single lifetime. We have all sorts of wonderful evidence in genetics. Genetics has opened up like an entirely new realm of evidence to show how various species are interrelated. When species separated from one another, such as how we separated from chimps somewhere about like 6 to 7 million years ago. Yeah, there's so much evidence for evolution, it's not even funny. People who say that evolution is quote-unquote just a theory don't seem to understand what the word theory means in science. A theory is like the theory of gravity, the germ theory. A theory is a very, very well-established thing in science. What they're thinking is how normal, common lay people, non-science people use the word theory, which means hypothesis. So anyway, the fact that we talk about evolution a lot, which is true, by the way, in my Minecraft Dinosaur series, tends to make people question my theological position, my theological belief system, whether I believe in an omnipotent power or not. And my answer to that is that regardless of how you feel about omnipotent beings existing or not, evolution happens, and if you believe that there's an omnipotent power, omnipotent being, that's totally cool with me. You can believe whatever you want and you can worship whatever you want. That's like a founding belief of there's small children yelling outside, a founding belief of the country that I was born and raised in. I completely support anyone's right to believe and worship whatever they want. But when it comes to trying to legislate beliefs, like a lot of very religious people don't believe that evolution happens, they try to legislate that into public schools and change science classes to try to reflect their belief system rather than reality. That's where we get a little bit of problems, and I'm not really comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with that just in the same way as I would be uncomfortable with anyone from any religion trying to change anything in a classroom about science. I think that science is very capable of deciding what is real and what is fake based on evidence and not on faith. And I think that faith has a place in everyone's life, however you wish to view it and take part in it yourself. But I think that making laws to force other people to believe the same way as you or to act the same way as you, for the most part, are not really okay based on religion. So that's another reason I left the US, because lots of people try to do that in the US, and I'm not really cool with that. But yeah, I think that a lot of people in the world could really benefit from thinking of religion the way that Jody, you do, saying theological position, and sort of taking all of the really strong feelings out of it, because a lot of people fight over things like religion, and a lot of wars happen because of religion, and I think that that's really sort of depressing, because I can meet anyone with any sort of belief system, and even if I don't agree with them, I don't want to fight them. I want to give them a hug and be like, we live in an amazing world where we have the freedom to believe whatever we want. So, you know, you're an awesome person. That's what I want to think. But a lot of people, they get really, really upset, and they fight, and they defund science, and we do wars instead of doing science, and our entire species is slowed down by such things. I think that technological progress would be much faster if we would all work together instead of fighting, but, you know, that's just me. Moving on to the next question. Respect other people. I know that a lot of you are young. If you take anything out of that diatribe on religion and science and how they seem to be fighting in the United States, and I don't understand why, because they're not really that incompatible with each other. Yeah, just respect other people, and it'll be okay. It'll be fine. Let's see. Where is the next question? Okay, Chris J asks, are schools in South Korea more advanced than schools in the US? They're not more advanced. They're definitely not more advanced. The thing is that Korean culture values very strongly education. As a result, schools are very serious. They're not very advanced, but they're very serious. And because they're very serious, they expect students to do well or they get punished, sometimes physically with like sticks and stuff. I saw this in my school a few times, children being hit with sticks, and it made me very, very uncomfortable. But the point is that Korean students focus very much on memorization because they take tests, and the tests are more important than what you learn. Your score is more important than what you learn, and I think that's a terrible way to teach children. I think it kills the innate creativity in children, and I think that it does the complete opposite of educating children. I think it teaches children how to be cogs in a machine, and I think it teaches children that it doesn't matter what they think, it doesn't matter what they know, it doesn't matter what they can talk about. It matters if they can give the correct answer when a problem exists. And like, answers are very important. Answers are incredibly important in science and in all industries, but I think that critical thinking is more important a lot of the time. And that's one thing that American schools, despite the fact that American schools are really, really terrible for many of the same reasons, American schools do encourage individualism a lot more and do encourage critical thinking a lot more than Korean schools. So although Korean students are learning calculus during like their second or third year of high school, and many people don't do that in the US. Some people do in advanced classes, but it's not guaranteed at all. Here in Korea, although they do that, they still have a lot of problems, just like every country has with its education system. I think that we should all take a chapter and learn a bit from the Northern European countries, Norway, and things like that. Sweden, I guess. Yeah, so just to name a few countries that probably have really cool education systems that I've heard wonderful things about, like Sweden and Norway. Switzerland is really good. I've met some people from Switzerland, and they seem pretty okay with the education system. So yeah, if we just learn a few things from Northern Europe, that would probably be good, because they do better than us not only in standardized tests, but they also tend to speak more languages, and languages are really important to me as well. So, Samuel Cruz, we already answered your question. Dragon Hearts 15 asks, "Hi Megneous, I was wondering how to start a YouTube video." I already discussed that. A lot of feedback. Yes. So he got some feedback saying, do a video of you strangling yourself. As I said, people on YouTube are sort of jerks sometimes. Don't pay attention to the haters. They're just really angry because, you know, you have a YouTube channel and you're willing to make something, whereas they feel pretty cool if they like make fun of you for it. Yeah, they're just jerks. They're probably pretty young too, so don't hate them too much. They probably don't know any better. Diego Matias 732 asks me, "Are you married?" And my answer to you is, no, I am not. Yes, but I'm not married. Not married. I'm in my mid-20s. I think I'm a little bit too young to get married. Also, I am not in a position in my life financially where I would feel okay getting married and possibly having children. I don't feel that I have enough money saved up yet to fulfill my children's dreams, whatever they may be. So when I have more money and I can assure myself that I can pay for a college education for my children, because although I think it's very important for children to be independent and like work their way through college, I had to work my way through college and I missed a lot of opportunities to do extracurricular like research and things that would have helped me in my career because I had to work instead. Like I couldn't do summer internships because I had to do a part-time job selling cigarettes so that I could pay my rent. Yeah, that's not good, I think. And I think that even if students work during university, I think that I want to help support my children so that they can do things like internships and do cool things to learn and spend their time doing something useful for the world, not working in a dead-end job that is going to be useless after graduation anyway. So yes, not married yet. Maybe in the future. Or maybe I'll just end up dying old and alone playing video games, which wouldn't be that bad either. I've always wondered if I'm really the type of person who can get married. Sort of marriage is really complicated. If you don't like understand how difficult marriage is, ask some married people sometime. Marriage is really, really difficult, and I worry about what would happen if I got married and then ended up getting divorced. It's sort of a scary idea. Red Phantom AI says, I gave you my question. If you had a kitten that could do anything, what would it do? My kitten would sit on my shoulder and meow probably classical music. Yeah, classical music. Maybe like Pachelbel's Canon. I would have a cat that sat on my shoulder and like meowed classical piano music. That would be cool. This question should go first because I asked a while ago, what is your favorite genre of music? I don't have a favorite genre of music. In fact, I listen to all sorts of stuff. Most of it is not in English. I like non-English music, if you could consider that a genre. Other than dinos in space, what else are you interested in? Geology, microbiology, marine biology, linguistics. Did I already say linguistics? I don't know. Many things. Many things. I have no time to learn about the things I want to learn and continue working. Will you ever go back to America? If so, what state would you live in? I may go back to the United States to visit family. I may eventually go back to the United States to work in a different industry if I end up doing YouTube. If I end up not doing YouTube, then maybe I'll go back to America. But I don't think I'll ever live in America again. That's just my idea right now. That could change in the future. But I don't know what state I would live in. I have no idea. But I may go back to visit family, and of course, family issues like funerals and things like that happen, and you know, sometimes you have to go back to where you come from because, you know, someone that you're close to passes away and things like that. And sometimes if you don't go to those things, your family hates you forever. So, yeah, you know, some things you have to do sometimes. Some sacrifices for family. Yes. That is not a question. We already answered that question. Stellars 5 asks, are you Asian? I'm going to assume you mean Asian. I'm part Asian. I am not 100% Asian. I'm not 50% Asian. I am part Asian. That's really about all you need to know. As I said, I'm mixed race, so there you go. Mixed race, Asian and Caucasian, part Japanese, but not half, which is why I don't look half Japanese. I wish I were half Japanese. I would feel like I look more like my culture. I feel like my personal culture would be better represented if I were more Japanese than I am biologically at the moment. You're still awesome either way. Thank you. Thank you very much, Stellars5. What are your hobbies apart from YouTube? 65 Electro asks, my hobbies other than YouTube are pretty simple. I play video games. I teach English. I guess that's a hobby, sort of. I enjoy teaching. And I enjoy reading. I enjoy reading things about science, about space, about dinosaurs. I read constantly. In fact, most of my day is probably spent catching up on news and science articles. Yeah, so, oh, my life is so exciting, spending all day in my apartment with Mr. Swiggles, doing, watching Game of Thrones, playing video games. Yeah, totally awesome life, I know, right? It's actually a pretty fun life, although I guess I could be doing more to advance our species into space, but I'm doing that through you. Motivating you to try to get our species into space, because I currently am not working in the space industry, but you can when you grow up. I've already missed my opportunity, unfortunately, but you can do it. I believe in you, all of you. What is your favorite planet in Kerbal Space Program and real life? Michael Kroll. Michael Kroll, my favorite planet in Kerbal Space Program is not a planet. It is probably the moon Minmus. Minmus is an amazing place to go in Kerbal Space Program because it has such low gravity. Yeah, it has really low gravity, so you can do all sorts of things. It's really easy to land on Minmus. You can get a really close orbit with your satellite, so you're really close to the ground. It's just an amazing place to go with low gravity. And that being said, my favorite place in real life in our solar system, my favorite planet, is not a planet or a moon, although there are some really cool moons around Saturn and Jupiter. My favorite is actually a dwarf planet called Ceres. Ceres is the largest asteroid in the asteroid belt, and we currently have a space probe called Dawn. New Horizons is going to Pluto, and it can see Pluto now, actually, which is really cool. And we have Dawn that just finished at Vesta. Vesta? Yeah, Vesta asteroid, and it's currently going to Ceres. I don't know why they didn't go to Ceres first, because that would have been totally cool to see first. We're going to get our first view of dwarf planets in our solar system. It's going to be so cool. We're going to learn so much about Ceres. I can't wait to see the first pictures. But Ceres is the largest asteroid in the asteroid belt. It probably would have ended up absorbing the rest of the asteroids in the asteroid belt over enough time, but Jupiter's gravity actually prevents the asteroids in the asteroid belt from clumping up too much. It sort of like shakes up the asteroid belt due to gravitational tidal forces and stuff, which is cool, but also sort of unfortunate for us who would like another planet, because that would be pretty cool if Ceres became a true planet. But as it is, the fact that all these asteroids are in little pieces are very useful for our space economy, because we can go and mine asteroids. Mining a very big planet is very expensive, and large gravity wells are difficult to get out of, but asteroids, on the other hand, are very easy to mine. Well, they're not easy to mine yet, but they will be because they have almost no gravity. So that'll be really awesome in the future. Akshay Koshi asks, I have no idea how to pronounce your name, are you James Bond but hiding your identity by saying that you're from Korea? I'm not from Korea, I live in Korea, I'm from the United States. Because you don't have no accent. You don't have no accent. You probably have an accent if you use English like that. I grew up in the South in the United States, but I learned how to speak standard American English by watching the news and talking to well-educated teachers. Also, when I spoke Southern dialect to my mother one time, she's not from the South, she hit me, which is one of the few times she's ever hit me in her life, actually. So I decided not to speak Southern dialect. I speak standard American English, which is sort of sad because I wish I were bi-dialectal. But no, I'm not James Bond, although I do look amazing in a suit. Nico Gratino asks, do you enjoy your job, and if so, why, and if not, why? Okay, so first of all, I do enjoy my job. YouTube is my job. I enjoy it because I get to talk to you guys, get to play video games, and I get paid to play video games. And that's really, really cool. I enjoy playing video games. I enjoy telling you about video games. I enjoy talking to developers such as Tyler Owen, one of the developers of Lacuna Passage. You should totally go check that out. It's on Kickstarter. Check the links below. So I enjoy my job a lot. I think I do a lot of good for my subscribers in terms of telling them about games, good for developers by spreading awareness, like Rose, how the developers of Rose gave me lots of games to give out to my subscribers and show my subscribers the game, etc., etc. And I think that if I can motivate some of you to join the space industry in the future or study something interesting such as microbiology or linguistics or who knows what else, there are tons of things in the sciences that you can study. So I enjoy the sort of influence that I seem to have over you guys and like talking to you guys about such educational topics as well as working with developers and playing video games. So it's all cool. I love it. If you're talking about me teaching English, I didn't enjoy teaching English in the public school system very much because of social hierarchy problems and other teachers respecting me, but I enjoy private tutoring. Private tutoring is really fun. I get to work very closely with students and I get to teach them English very quickly because they learn very quickly because I know how to teach. When I'm working in a public school, I can't choose what I teach, and private schools too, I can't choose what I teach. So it doesn't end up working very well. Mostly it ends up just being like doing workbooks. And workbooks do not teach you how to speak English. If you guys are learning English, do not learn English from books. Find native speaker friends and talk to them. Talk to them every day. Talk to them for like 2 or 3 hours a day. That will teach you English. When I came to Korea, I just started speaking Korean with people. I used like the internet to look up individual words and used a dictionary in my phone to look up words. And then I just used the words. And, you know, I skipped like 2 or 3 Korean classes when I was finally tested to see what level I was at. And I've only been living in Korea for like a year and a half. So that's how you learn languages. That's how I learned Japanese. That's how I learned Korean. That's how you do it. Just speak all the time. Speak every day and watch movies and listen to music. Don't do workbooks. That's just dumb. Learning how to like answer very small, not open-ended questions by like copying grammar from one page to another. That's not how you learn a language. Eleazar Barnett asks, what is Mr. Swiggles' real name? Mr. Swiggles' real name, I am not going to tell you because Mr. Swiggles deserves his privacy, and I respect that. But yeah, his name is obviously not Mr. Swiggles. I've already given tips for YouTubers. How long have you been interested in space? I already answered that question. My favorite video game, already answered that. What got you interested in space? Wow, you guys really like, you really want to know why I got interested in space, don't you? Okay, Triple the Cheese says, as all children were interested in dinosaurs at one point, what has kept you knowledgeable about them? How have you remembered all these interesting facts? I read. I realize that it probably sounds really cliche because your teachers probably said like, you need to read more, you need to read more. And like a lot of those teachers don't know what the heck they're talking about because they're really old and stuff. But this is one of the few things that, yeah, they're right. You should read. You should read a lot. You should read books. You should read websites. You should read articles. You should... anything that you're interested in. There are communities online where people talk about that stuff every day. Like really, just go and like read what people say and read some research and read, like watch documentaries on YouTube. There's so many free documentaries on YouTube, man. Just go and learn and search, use Google. You can find it. What other things? I guess like technically university classes or something else you can do if you have the money to go to university. Not everyone does. If you have the opportunity to go to university, I very much encourage you to do so and learn about things that you're passionate about, because the best thing about university isn't the classes that you take, it's the people you meet who are also interested in the same things. You can learn a lot from them. And your professors are people who have dedicated their lives to studying the things that you're learning about in their class. So after class, go to their office and be like, sir, I am passionate about paleontology. I want to learn everything about dinosaurs. Please teach me. And they will teach you. My phonetics teacher, my phonology professor, she taught me a ton of stuff that no one else in the class learned about because I was like, I'm passionate about this topic. Please teach me. And she did. So yeah, internet, online forums, books, research, university professors. Go learn everything. Learn it all. Yeah. And that's also how you remember things, by reading it again and using it on a semi-regular basis. Tim3LP again asks, what are you going to play after your current series end? I will probably be playing things like Starbound, Planetary Annihilation, Castle Story. Castle Story is currently not really in a state where I can play it well yet. It's still really hard to control. The controls are weird. It's still really buggy. But yeah, those are some of the games I'm looking forward to. There are several other games I'm looking forward to as well, and we'll talk about those on the Facebook group. If you haven't already gone to the Facebook group, you need to go to the Facebook group and you need to join, because we do all sorts of interesting conversations there. And you have a better chance of actually talking to me and me answering, because I get so many comments on my videos. I can't answer those every day. There are just too many of them. So if you want to talk to me, you should come join the Facebook group. Aside from simulation games, what genre of games do you most enjoy? I really enjoy RPGs, but simulation games are totally #1 always. Survival games like Minecraft and Don't Starve are very high up there as well. Also, what kind of games would you like to expand into playing on this channel in the future? Already answered that question, but thank you, Kensei Kitsune. You were actually the winner of the Kerbal Space Program giveaway, where I gave a free copy of Kerbal Space Program to someone. Congratulations, Kensei Kitsune. What are your PC specs? Again, I'll do that later, not right now. Can you do TF2 events? Probably not. I really suck at TF2. Will Mr. Swiggles be there by Dylan Bowman? No, Mr. Swiggles, although he supports me in my YouTube channel, he will not be joining us in any sort of videos. He's a very private person, sort of like Kurt J. Mac, doesn't really like associating with too many people outside of his immediate group of friends. So, Creative Man 211 already answered what games I enjoy. Will you play other space games? Stratege 100 asks, yes! Future space games we'll be playing include Starbound! And other games I'm sure will come out as well that I will want to play. So we will definitely be playing space games in the future. No doubt about it. ILMBAA asks, how old are you? Mid-20s. What are your political, cultural, and economic reasons for leaving the US? Already answered it. Why Korea? Already answered it. What degrees in linguistics do you have, and from what university? I'm not going to say what university I got my degree from, but I will say that I got my degree in linguistics and Japanese and linguistics of Japanese, and I specialized in phonetics because syntax is not that fun in my opinion. So neither is morphology in my personal opinion, but morphosyntax, morphophonology. Morphophonology is really cool. Morphosyntax, not so much. Syntax, not so much. Pragmatics, no. Mostly about the phonetics and phonology up in here. Okay? Yeah, I love that. Let's see. Do you alter the sound of your voice in your videos? Use some form of a stage or performance voice? If yes, is there an exact linguistic term for this modulation or inflection? I don't change my voice significantly while I do YouTube, but I do try to enunciate more clearly and speak more clearly while doing recordings, because if I talk, it gets very difficult to understand me, I think. So my radio voice, quote unquote, is mostly me just trying to speak clearly and try to push my voice forward, push it out. Like people who do theater, for example. That's how I think about my radio voice. I try to enunciate clearly and speak clearly, open my mouth when I speak, try not to mumble. There is not that I know of a linguistic term for that, what I do, but there is a linguistic term that is similar for people who are parts of different social groups or different dialect groups, where they switch back and forth between different dialects or different levels of prestige, depending on who they're talking to. And that's called code switching. Code switching is totally amazing. For example, many of you are American residents, you live in the United States. There are many dialects in the United States, but the most common one that I can think of with code switching is African American English. Yes, African American English is indeed a dialect of English. It is not a different language. It is English, but it has a very unique history that makes it very different from other dialects of English. It is not bad English, just like Southern English is not bad English. It's just a different dialect. But the point of this conversation is that African American English speakers very often have different code switching times where they will speak to some of their friends in African American English and then to different friends who don't speak African American English in standard American English. And they will do this not just like when they're in a group of people, but talking within a single group of people to different speakers. This happens a lot. It's called code switching. If you don't know what it is, you should look it up on Wikipedia. Type in code switching, maybe code switching linguistics, and read all about it. It's totally awesome. Lots of research on it. Very, very cool. Bidialectal speakers are some of the coolest people in the world. You should totally talk to your friends if they speak multiple dialects of a single language or multiple languages. Yes. Alright, what type of computer do you have? Spencer Hughes asks. I built my computer myself. I ordered the parts online. It was about $550 and I built it. It's a couple of years old now, but it still plays everything I want to play, so there's no real problem there. Already answered who Mr. Swiggles is. Can you do any Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's Play because they are awesome? I do know Yu-Gi-Oh! I was involved with Yu-Gi-Oh! A bit when I was younger, but I'm probably not going to do any Let's Plays for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I don't really like any of the games. The games don't seem very fun. I played one Yu-Gi-Oh! Game once. It wasn't very good. Nah. Nothing against Yu-Gi-Oh! I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very entertaining in its own way, but not really something that I want to play on the channel, maybe, or even alone, possibly. So let's see, what will happen when you start getting bored of the games you are playing now? Spose9011 asks, let's suppose for a moment that I get bored of my games. I will stop playing them and start other series. I will not play a game that I am bored of on the channel, even if it gets lots of views. If I hate the game, I'm just going to be really miserable and no one's going to enjoy those videos anyway. So I'm not going to be playing that game if I get bored of it. Will you start a new series or just add a new element to the games? For some games, I will add a new element, like Minecraft, for example. I think vanilla Minecraft is pretty boring, actually. So we can add new elements, also known as mods, and then play new series with those mods. That would be okay. But starting new series is also something that YouTubers have to do, because we need new content, always. The Dim Dim Productions. How long did it take you to get relatively large on YouTube? What is relatively large? Because if it's 20,000 subscribers, it's taken us about 6 months of seriously making videos. If it's less than that, like maybe 2,000, then that was maybe like 3 months. Yeah, maybe like 3 months it took us to become relatively large from the perspective of someone very new just starting out. There's a very strange sound coming from my ceiling. This is sort of freaking me out. Anyway, AOE is awesome. James asks, where are you from again? I am from the United States, specifically from the South. You guys can guess where I'm from. Maybe I said it in another video, but I can't really remember, and I'm not going to tell you exactly where I'm from. So, you're going to have to watch my videos if you want to know. Why do you only have one mod in Minecraft? Because I don't feel like playing Minecraft every day. I feel like playing other games. I enjoy lots of different kinds of games, so I play Minecraft and other games as well. If I have like 4 different mods for Minecraft, then I'll only be able to make a Minecraft Dinosaurs video once a week. I'm not cool with that, so we only have 1 mod for now, maybe more mods in the future. We'll see. Where did you get your username? N4TEKH12899. Where did you get your name? N4 whatever your name is. N4TEK Noctect. Got my name from Michael plus Igneous. Said it before earlier. Nicholas Mishu, why are you in Korea? Already answered. How did you get started on Minecraft? I had a friend when I first started in YouTube. His name was Captain James. Captain James had a series called Minecraft Dinosaurs, and he told me that it was awesome and fun, so I started playing it and started a series. Unfortunately, the success of my series made him unhappy, and he said that I stole the name of the series, Minecraft Dinosaurs, even though Minecraft Dinosaurs isn't, like, it's not a particularly trademarkable name. You know, it's not like Captain James Plays. I didn't copy his name, I just used a name that made sense, like Minecraft Pokemon, Minecraft Dinosaurs, Minecraft. It makes sense to name mods like that. But he got really angry at me, and because of that, we ended up not being friends after a while. But that's how I got started on Minecraft, and it's going to continue to stay the way that it is in terms of us playing Minecraft for quite a while, probably. So stick around. I hope you enjoy the videos. What do you look like, and why are you in Korea? Infinity Bob asks. This is what I look like. Hard to believe, I know, right? Do you think that I'm very different from how you expected? Did you think that I would be a very large man, perhaps? Very fat man? I'm not large at all, actually. I'm of moderate height, I'm average height, I'm quite thin and fit, so I'm curious, do I look the way that you guys thought I would look? Let me know in the comments below. And again, my hair does not usually look like this comb over thing. This is the business suit attire way to dress up Megneous. Can I please give your channel a shout out? Infinity Bob, I guess technically because I answered your question that's a shout out, but I'm not going to be linking to your channel because I don't know what sort of stuff you do on your channel. So anyway, moving on. Danny M, do you have a lover? Did you ever think about becoming a paleontologist? Indeed. Do I have a lover? I do date at the moment. Yes. Some issues, some relationship issues, as is usual for people in relationships, but yes, I do date. Did you ever think about becoming a paleontologist? I dreamed of becoming a paleontologist, but I never actually tried to become a paleontologist or studied it in school because I wanted to study living dinosaurs and living woolly mammoths and living saber-toothed tigers. I wanted to be a biologist of ancient things. I did not want to dig up bones. So watching documentaries on dinosaurs and digging up bones of dinosaurs is very, very different. And although I very much appreciate paleontologists for all the work they do, what they do is not exactly something that I would want to do every day of my life. So that's sort of unfortunate. X Alpha Sonic X asks, what was your school life like? What are your goals in life? My school life was terrible until I went to university. I was a nerd. I was unpopular with the popular kids. I played with the kids who played video games. We were all quite unpopular. We were like made fun of and beaten up constantly. And when I told teachers they were beating me up, the teachers were like, what did you do to them? What did you do to them? Kids don't beat up kids for no reason. And now that I'm an adult, screw all of you teachers that told me that because you're an idiot, and yes, they do. Children are little devils, and they will beat up the intelligent, nerdy children in school just because maybe they're jealous or maybe they're just different. Anti-intellectualism is a very big problem in the United States. School was terrible until I went to university. Once I went to university, school was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I loved university. University was great. I learned a lot. I met a lot of amazing people. And not once was I beaten up in university, because once you go to university, people know that if they beat people up, they go to jail. Yeah. So kids in high school, for example, they just get all the mercy from the legal system you could possibly believe. Everything that they do should really end up with them going to prison. What are your goals in life? I don't have a lot of goals. I just want to have enough money to survive, and I want to have fun and play video games and read research. That's really all I want to do. I want to encourage people to join the space industry to get us into space faster, but I do not have the skill set to do that myself, so I'm counting on you guys to get us into space, and I'm also waiting for SpaceX and Planetary Resources to really kick things off so that hopefully in about 45 years I can go to Mars and retire on Mars. Yeah, in fact, that's my only goal in life, really. My only goal in life is to go and live on Mars. And if I can do that sooner rather than later, that would be really cool. So please, please get involved in space industry. I would very much appreciate that. What got you into producing YouTube videos? Already answered. What is your deepest regret in your lifetime? My deepest regret in my lifetime is that I dated an amazing woman in university, a woman that to this day makes my heart all aflutter. I miss her greatly, and I probably screwed that up beyond repair since it's been years since I've heard from her anyway. But that would probably be my deepest regret in life. I was very angry because I grew up in a poor family. I was very immature about money because I had no money, so I worried about money constantly. I wasn't very accepting of some culture differences between her parents and myself. I wasn't very accepting of conservative parents. I made her life difficult, and we ended up breaking up. And there's probably maybe not a day, but these days maybe not a week that goes by where I don't wonder what she's doing, how she is, if she's happy, and that's probably really unfortunate. That's my biggest regret. That's really sad. And for those of you who may be wondering, who was she? What was she like? Well, I'm not going to tell you about that, but if you're watching this video right now, you know who you are. If you could change something in the world, what would it be? I would make humans more interested in going to space. I think that we need to colonize Mars immediately, and we need to start colonizing the moons of Jupiter and Saturn if we can figure out how to stop the radiation. We need to start colonizing like freaking everything. I'm not even joking. Asteroids, our moon, Mars's 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. We need to start colonizing everything. We need to fill up the entirety of our solar system, and then we need to go to the stars beyond. It is our inevitable future, our destiny as an intelligent species to take to the stars. And if I could change anything, it would be the apathy of the world's people and their anger towards one another instead of their camaraderie and working together to benefit our species and getting to the stars. That's what I would change. Have I ever partaken in an activity that was illegal? Yes, many different activities in many different countries that are illegal for various reasons. Some that are good reasons and some that are bad reasons, but we're not going to talk about those at the moment. We'll talk about those later, maybe. What are your plans for YouTube in the near and far future? No particular plans. I hate networks mostly, but maybe we'll find a network eventually if someone gives me a good enough deal. Maybe. What other gaming systems do you own? I have an Xbox 360. I also have a GameCube and an N64, a Super Nintendo, and a Nintendo but all of these are in the United States. They are not here in Korea with me. If you could have something changed about yourself, what would it be? Photographic memory, fly, etc. If I could change something about myself, I would make me live on Mars. Yeah. You guys like don't understand this maybe, but like really that's like all I want to do in my life. I want humans to colonize Mars, and I want to live on Mars. Just because. Dude, it's Mars. Why would you not want to live on Mars? Come on. When do you want to stop making videos? Never! Because I enjoy doing YouTube as a full-time career, and I enjoy the fact that you guys enjoy watching my videos. So as long as you watch my videos and I get lots of views, and I can continue to support myself on ad revenue, I will continue making videos. That was Eduardo Valdez again, by the way. Already answered. Hey, you said you would talk about your political views towards the US. Was curious if you still would. I did. You should check it out earlier in the video. That's Dorky Hippie, by the way. He says that he won't be offended by anything he promises. Well, thank you, Dorky, for not being offended by, you know, my opinions. I don't think anyone should be offended by opinions, actually, unless it's something racist, which I am probably the least racist person in the world. Okay. No, I do not play Minecraft on Xbox, Sam. I prefer rock to rap, Sam. Do you like cheese, or cheese is why... It's why will you be dressing up? I don't really understand your question, Carvera, but yes, I love cheese. It is very unfortunate that here in Korea, we do not have very cheap cheese. It's also very nasty cheese. We don't have very high quality cheeses here in Korea. I would have to go to Costco probably to get a decent cheese. Big Daddy 4988 asks, do you like to support people who want to be big on YouTube, and do you ever mention them? If so, please mention Subject Rerex. Okay, Subject Rerex, I have mentioned you. Big Daddy, I do sometimes give shout-outs, but... Oh, look, here's Subject Rerex right up here. I do sometimes give shout-outs, but I usually have to be friends with someone first, and I have to check their channel and make sure that they do content that I think is worthy of a shout-out. Subjects Rerex, I will not be wearing a ninja skin because I think that wearing a skin that every other person wears makes me not very unique. I like being unique, and because of that, I will be using, you know, my skin that was made by Munchable Penguins, I believe. I think. Or Adam Mofo. Maybe Adam Mofo made my skin. Adam Mofo or Munchable Penguins. One of those two people. One of them made me a background, and one of them made me the skin. I think Adam Mofo made me the skin. Has someone recognized you on a different game? And also, what was your most embarrassing moment? No one's noticed me in other games. I think no one's been like, oh my gosh, it's Megneous, except in Super Robo Plays Minecraft server. People have noticed me in real life before, though. Like I said, some of my students have watched my Minecraft Dinosaur series, and then when I say, hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, this is Megneous, and what they're like, oh, you're Megneous? This is your series? Oh my gosh. And I'm like, yes, I am sort of famous on YouTube. Congratulations to me, I guess. Favorite game, Dolly Crap, Final Fantasy XI, already answered. Arcane Canine, even if you get millions of subs, will you still talk to me on Facebook? Yes, Arcane Canine, I will still talk to you on Facebook even if I get millions of subs. But the question is, how many people send me messages and how often can I respond to those? Because I don't know how often you guys get really busy, but I'm busy a lot of the time. I don't have time to answer as many emails and messages as I get, but I try. I really do try. Sometimes it takes me a week or two to answer, but I go through and I answer like everything that isn't like a really stupid message like lols, hello lords, a bunch of lead speak and stuff like that. I don't answer those, but if they're decent messages and they're worth answering, I do answer them. So yes, I will continue to talk to you even if I get lots of subscribers. Already answered about why I started a gaming channel, Arcane Canine. Dak Alessio, in your last Don't Starve video, you said you used to go out with your friend and collect mushrooms and grow them. Do you still go out into the woods and hike, collect wild edibles? As a hunter, bushcrafter, fisherman, gardener, I was curious. Dak Alessio, that is awesome that you go out in nature and you collect edible things and you go fishing and gardening. That friend of mine actually wasn't a friend, it was my father. When I was young and I lived in the woods in that log cabin I told you about earlier, I would go out into the woods with my father, find mushrooms that were edible. We would confirm what kind they were using a book, and my father was very, very experienced with growing mushrooms because he grew a lot of mushrooms in the 70s, if you know what I mean. So he was very knowledgeable about mushrooms. So we grew blue oyster mushrooms and some other kinds of mushrooms as well. We would harvest morel mushrooms from the forest, and it was really a lot of fun. Growing mushrooms is like a very, very complex thing where you have to start with like the mycelium or mycelium. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. My father always said mycelium, so I'm going to say mycelium, but it's probably wrong. But you start with it in petri dishes with like some agar in it. If you don't know what agar is, you need to like study microbiology and medicine and stuff like that. And you would grow the mycelium, and then you would cut it up into pieces and boil birdseed, and then put the mycelium and the birdseed in mason jars. So it's boiled, and you kill all the bacteria and stuff and fungus, and then shake it up. And then the mycelium will grow through the birdseed, and then you do the same thing boiling straw, and then put it in big bags like plastic bags, and then put the birdseed with the mycelium in there, and then shake it up. And then you leave the bags closed until the mycelium grows through the entire bag, eating the straw. And then you cut a flap in the bag and open it and mist it. You mist it with a spray bottle. And then from the bag will grow the fruiting bodies of the mushrooms, which are mushrooms. Because mushrooms are not mushrooms. Mushrooms are the fruiting bodies of fungus, the mycelium itself. That's the primary living organism. The mushroom itself is not the organism, it's just a part of the organism called the fruiting body. So yeah, that's how you grow mushrooms, and it was totally awesome, and there's nothing more delicious than growing blue oyster mushrooms yourself and then frying them in butter, stir-frying them with butter and then eating them. Oh, they're so delicious. I really suggest you try Sodak Alessio. It is amazing. Grow mushrooms. Minju Lee, you are probably Korean. Hello. Or maybe Korean American or Korean Australian, but you know what I mean. Or perhaps you have a Chinese father and a Korean mother or something along those lines. But anyway, hello. I like your name. Minju is a very good name. What is your most prized possession? Probably my computer. There are a couple of personal items in my life, but I don't really think that they're very prized. There are very few things. I'm not very materialistic, but if I lost my computer, I wouldn't be able to work, and I would lose all my money, and I would die alone, homeless in the streets. So let's say my computer. How's Korea going? Korea is going amazing, except for, Korea constantly trying to deport me because I don't have a real job. So I have to apply for visas to look for a job, but then not really look for a job. Try to finish my 한국 사회 통합 program, Korean Social Integration Society Integration Program. So try to complete that. Try to get an F27 visa, which is a visa which allows me to live permanently in Korea as a resident. And after 3 years, I can apply for an F5 visa? Yeah, F5 visa, which is a permanent residency visa. Not a marriage visa, permanent living alone residency visa, which is what I want. I went there about 2 years ago to visit my aunts and uncles that live there. So you are Korean, aha. And I was born there. Yes, it's awesome, isn't it? And just wanted to know how it was going. It's going well. It's going well. It could go very, very badly very, very soon because my visa is going to run out in November? Oh, November, I think. And I'm not going to have enough time to get my F27 visa by November. So I'm a little bit worried about that. I think maybe I'll get a student visa and go to a university in Korea. Maybe. Or maybe I'll get a part-time job. I'm not really sure. We'll talk about that. I'll let you guys know what I'm doing. I'll tell you. Another question about where do you live in Korea? I live outside of Seoul. I don't live in Seoul proper. I live outside of Seoul in Gyeonggi-do, but I'm not going to tell you if I'm on the north or the south or the east or the west or anywhere else because I don't want people showing up at my door. I know that most of you live in the United States, but I would be very freaked out if someone came to my door here in South Korea, so we're not going to be talking about where exactly I live. Sorry, I love you, but we have some limitations here. Thank you, Min Julie. Thank you very much. You should totally send me more messages if you want to. We can talk about Korea all day. Carvera19 asks, do you live in South or North Korea? I live in North Korea, and I'm actually a very secret government agent who's using a secret internet connection to record video game videos and upload them to YouTube. In case you guys didn't know, that was sarcasm. You cannot use YouTube in North Korea. North Korea doesn't have access to the real internet. They have this really pseudo internet in North Korea, and it's only available to people who are the most dedicated to the regime. North Korea is not a place you guys want to go live. Lots of weapons and lots of threats that I told everyone weren't serious, but no one listened. And then, oh, look, we're not blown up yet because I told everyone that wouldn't happen. But yeah, I live in South Korea. What made you start doing YouTube? Can you do a normal Minecraft? I live in Korea. Justin, you asked a lot of questions. Darla Dennis asks, what country did you move to after you left the US? I moved to Korea, but I've also lived in Japan. I've also lived in China. I lived in Japan for like a year, year and a half. Yeah, a year and a few months. I lived in China for 3 months. I lived in Paris for 1 month, but decided that Parisians hate me and I hate Parisians, and I don't want to live in Paris ever again. Paris was a terrible place to live. For any of you who live in Paris, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you, but like really, I had a really terrible time living in Paris. It was awful. Can you say plesiosaur 5 times slowly, McDovey Co? Plesiosaur, 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 plesiosaur. Yeah, okay, so on to the next question. Jared9129, what is it like living in a country where everyone speaks a language that isn't English? It feels more or less the same as living in any other country. In fact, believe it or not, despite the fact that we speak different languages, humans, more or less, we all want the same things. We all want to be happy, we want someone to love us, and we want delicious food. Oh, and a lot of people like drinking alcohol. Yeah, so people in other countries have different cultures, and Korean culture is very, very different from American culture. But for the most part, if you love people, if you greet people, if you're like happy about meeting people who are different and learning from them, you're not going to have that big of a problem living in Korea. If you're not very open-minded and monocultural, you will have an amazingly terrible time living in Korea. But for the most part, people just want to be loved. People just want to be loved. And they want to eat delicious food and drink delicious alcohol. Which personally, I don't think that alcohol is very delicious, but I do socially drink with teachers and other people here in Korea, because if you don't, you can't have friends here. Korea is very much a drinking culture. Very much so. Very similar to Germany in Europe, if you have ever been to Germany. You're very cool. Thank you, Tyron. You're very cool as well. Mr. Swiggles is my roommate. Namu Child, take 2. I live in Korea. I am not a citizen of Korea. I am a citizen of the United States, but I am currently not residing there, nor do I plan to in the future. I am in my mid-20s, Colin W. Colin W heard about missile attacks from North Korea to South Korea. Yeah, that happens sometimes. We are not really in danger. North Korea is nowhere near as strong as South Korea or as the United States in terms of military. They do not have the technology to send a nuclear device to Seoul. Their artillery is only reaching the top northern 1/3 of Seoul. We are not worried about North Korea at all. When America was freaking out about North Korea, we were laughing because you guys were freaking out over nothing, really. Like, we got this, don't worry. Nikki Kano likes all of my videos. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate that. I like you as well. Is this really spam? Yes, it is. We're going to say that's spam. How do I get the fossil mod? You can check the link that I put in my videos for 1.5.2, I think we're using right now. I put the link in the newest Minecraft dinosaur videos to where you can get that mod. Can you get this mod for Xbox 360? No, Minecraft Dinosaurs is probably not available as a mod on Xbox 360. Xbox is not really open to modding. Can you show your face in a video? I'm doing so right now. That is by MyBennett20. I think that's it. Okay, that is officially, we have answered all of the questions for our 100 subscriber special and our 5,000 sub special. Thank you very much. I have one more thing to say to Reggie. Reggie, you earned a copy of Rose by writing a poem. Please respond to my messages or I'm going to give your game to another person. If you would like a free copy of Rose, the game with the 4 nature gods building their planet, then you should go over to that giveaway video and let me know, because I have one more copy, a GOG copy, another online distribution site that I'm going to give away probably in the next few days. So you should go there. I don't think I have anything else to say other than keep studying in school, study lots of cool, interesting stuff, and teach me things that I don't already know. Please learn about space, get involved in the space industry so that we can get to Mars and I can die happy. That's about it. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching this video. My name is Megneous, and I will see you next time.